Dear friends, welcome to the Wednesday Word on Wednesday the 15th of November. At remembrance, I always think of my father, who died 14 years ago. He would have been 100 this year, so he was just old enough to fight in Burma at the end of the Second World War. When his troopship left Liverpool for the long trip to India, I wonder what, as a young 22-year-old tank commander, he felt as he headed to war during that long 3-week voyage. And I wonder how he felt when they disembarked at Bombay and made the long rail journey across India towards the jungles of Burma, where they knew that a ruthless enemy awaited them. And when they arrived, one of my father's first missions was to lead his tank platoon in the defence of some strategic oil refineries deep in the Burmese jungle. The jungle was so dense that the only way to lead the line of tanks, especially at night, was for him to sit on the front of the lead tank with a torch to guide the driver. I wonder how he felt, knowing that they might engage the enemy at any point. A few days later, there was a fierce battle involving tanks and infantry. There were many casualties, and after the battle, my father had the job of walking through the battlefield, checking that the Japanese casualties were dead, and removing any documents from their bodies for intelligence. Contrary to all the rules, my father kept a letter that he found on one of the dead Japanese soldiers. This letter was from the dead man's daughter. It was beautifully written in Japanese symbols on one side and decorated with a delicate crayon drawing of a Japanese woman in a kimono on the other. Her father never came home. Like millions of other fathers, it could have been so different. My father might have been killed instead of that Japanese man. Had it been that way around, I, my brother, and our children would never have been born. But his daughter would have had a father, and her children a grandfather that they never knew. I sometimes wonder where she is now living and whether I should try and contact her. I wonder how my father felt as he faced that grisly task of removing documents from the dead bodies. Well, eventually the atom bombs were dropped and the Japanese surrendered. After the war, my father was posted to Bovingdon in Dorset as a tank instructor for the Royal Armoured Corps. It was only at that point that the horrors of war caught up with him and he had a breakdown. Nowadays it would be called post-traumatic stress disorder, but it had no such sympathetic label then, and he was invalided out of the army. I wonder how he felt then. It was only then that he got to know a sympathetic vicar who listened to him and gave him the spiritual help that he never had in his younger life. My father began to do what he had never done before, to look to God for help in facing the challenges of life. He once admitted to me that as a young man, he had not given God enough space in his life. But from that point on, my father began to find growing direction, purpose, and meaning in life. And with God's help, he was able to rebuild his life, to get married, and build a loving family. In the words of Psalm 46, he found that God is our refuge and strength, a very present help in trouble. Therefore, we will not fear. How do you cope in situations of strain and stress and anxiety? Can I encourage you to look beyond yourself to the God who is there, who has come to us as the Lord Jesus Christ, who lived and died for us to be our strength and our refuge and an ever-present help in trouble. God bless you today.